Part 5 is complex correlations. In many studies, correlations are calculated not just for one pair of variables, but for lots of pairs of variables. And this creates what we call a correlation matrix, in which correlation coefficients are presented in a grid. You'll see that the same variable names are recorded in the top row and left column, and correlations between those variables are recorded in the corresponding cell. So usually when you see this wouldn't comprise the whole study. This would be like descriptive data showing who are the individuals that participated in the study. So I'm going to skip this one for now. So in this slide, you can see that we're looking at 4 variables. We have need for cognition, intelligence, social desirability, how much they want to be seen as socially desirable, and dogmatism. These terms are defined over here. Social desirability is the tendency for individuals to respond in socially acceptable ways. They want to be socially desirable. And dogmatism means that they tend to grasp on to things that they believe in and not listen to other people, just be kind of close-minded about it. And you can see that each of these variables is listed in a corresponding place on the side. So need for cognition first, intelligence second, social desirability third, and dogmatism last. You'll also notice that a lot of the cells are empty and there are dashes going down the middle. So the dashes correspond with each variable's correlation with itself. And because this is the exact same score, these will always be 1. Need for cognition just has 1 score. So if we take the values for need for cognition and we list them for individual, and then we do it again, they will be perfectly correlated. The same for intelligence. So these blanks, these dashes here, just mean these are perfect correlations. Obviously, intelligence is linked to intelligence. Social desirability correlates perfectly with social desirability. And so the data of interest is these showing the relationships between these 2 measures. So the relationship between intelligence and need for cognition is 0.39, a positive correlation. As intelligence goes up, need for cognition goes up. You can see that dogmatism, or rigid grasping onto principles, decreases as need for cognition increases. At a negative, sort of a low to moderate effect or a weak to moderate effect, minus 0.27. Dogmatism decreases as intelligence increases. And none of these have much of a relationship to social desirability. You might wonder why these cells are blank, and it's simply because it would make it too busy for your eye. So we could fill these in. The relationship between dogmatism and need for cognition is going to still be minus 0.27, so we could fill it in. It'll be the same as it is here. The relationship between intelligence and need for cognition is going to be the same, so we could fill it in here and put our 0.39. But that would make it pretty busy for the eye, so usually just 1 set is listed. So if we look at this correlation matrix, we can see that it's very similar to the previous one, except that they listed out the ones in the middle. So here they go. All these are listed. They're correlations of 1. Happiness correlates perfectly with happiness. We can see that they used 4 digits. So we're looking at kind of a busier data set. I prefer 2. And these little asterisks at the end, these mean that this was statistically significant. So this positive correlation between job satisfaction and happiness was at the 0.86 level, very strong and statistically significant. Once again, they left this top part of the grid blank so we don't overtax our visual system. And hopefully this all makes sense. So for the last correlation matrix we'll look at, we see that in this case, the whole matrix is filled in. So you can see that the ones are written in going down the center, the perfect correlations with each variable with itself. And then you can see here that the other variables are written in 2 locations. So the relationship between exam score and hours spent studying is shown here as 0.82. And it's also shown here as the same 0.82. It's written twice. Hours spent sleeping corresponds inversely with hours spent studying. As sleep goes up, studying goes down. And you can see it's listed here as minus 0.22, a weak negative correlation. And also, if we follow hours spent studying across, we can see it also right here, this minus 0.22. So in the matrices that we've looked at, typically this part has been left blank and kind of darkly shaded in. See if I can get the pen to do that for us here. Sort of crossed off, right? Left blank. And in some of them, even these center cells, the ones, weren't presented. All of that because it's redundant. It's not necessary. It's what we already know. It's what the only thing it could be, or it's just a duplicate. And this is the key information that's often presented. So hopefully that helps you understand correlation matrices. I'll encourage you to watch the video from class as well, especially on the section called Measuring Correlations. Thanks for tuning in.